hello and welcome to a very, very special show, the story of Behtar India. DHFL Pramerica Life Insurance Private Limited and Republic TV got together to launch this campaign Behtar India in April this year. So we aligned a campaign with the need of the nation and it worked. So if a corporate was to push a social responsibility, how to have that far-reaching impact? It is by aligning it with the national priorities. And is collaborative the way forward to make that impact even deeper? That is going to be the thrust of our panel discussion for today. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us. I would like to start with Mr. Anshuman. The campaign has grown. Behtar India has managed to reach far more number of people this year than last. If I was to say what has been the best achievement for you for this campaign, what would that be?
The campaign response that we got was simply phenomenal. So one is, when you objectively look at numbers, how many schools associated. So we had almost 1,000 schools, around 22,000 children. The great part was that it was a leadership development platform for children, and the children wanted to go and change the nation. So the important part was, while each of us is doing their bit today to influence and make our country better, the fundamental sustainable change happens when you involve everybody. So you started with children went out, they involved their parents, they involved society. We had municipal corporations coming and getting associated with us. We had a lot of companies getting associated with us. So the movement just grew, and we want to make sure this continues to grow and we can continue to impact society very, very positively.
Great. At this point, I would like to come to you, Mr. Vijay. You've been in this field, you have a vast experience as far as social responsibility goes. Hero Motorcorp is known for a lot of its campaigns, be it girl education or road safety. Have you seen the landscape of social responsibility changing from just an expense? Now it is considered more like an investment for a corporate.
I think over years it has really changed, as you rightly said, from expense or from philanthropy to expense to doing something for the society. And it's not just that, it's also that now companies just don't want to spend that money, but they also want to involve a lot of employees. So which means volunteering is coming in, and employees, kids. So the entire ecosystem is now involved in the CSR. And that really gives it that multiplier impact.
So you of course work with different kind of communities, you also work with children. Behtar India made children as the bridge to reach out to the parents and bring about behavioral changes in them. What would you like to say about the power of a child as a change maker?
I'll give you two examples on this one. One on road safety. So we do a lot of stuff on road safety. One of the key things over there is that we impact the children, because we genuinely believe that if we have to change the behavior of parents, it's not the external forces that change the behavior, but the kids change it. For example, when we trained one kid on safe driving, and when he was going home, he actually told his father, please don't go on the wrong side, rather take a U-turn. And that really impacts. We are doing something on environment. So we have around 10,000 green cops over here in Delhi. So these kids are now impacting the parents and the society around, and they become our green champions. So kids really have that power of changing the society. I genuinely believe, and at Hero we believe that.
Right. So we try to harness that through our campaign Behtar India as well. Bringing that to you, Mr. Sudhakar, when we're talking about an impact created, of course, like I said, we have those numbers, those many underprivileged lives touched and those many kilos of waste recycled. How do I create a long-lasting parameter to gauge my impact? What should be my model? I go back to the same community every year with the same goal till these values become habits, or is there something else that one needs to do?
Yeah, basically in order to create a sustainable activity, it's important to partner with the community, whether it is a school or a village or any other community in urban areas. It's important, until unless you partner with them, the sustainable impact will not be there, because it is not possible to go to every community repeatedly. So that is what is our experience, that wherever we have developed any particular intervention, we felt that villages or schools have to partner in that activity, then only the activity will be successful. Otherwise, every time for you to go back and do that, it is not a sustainable thing. Yes, you can do once in a while a refresher program, which we have also experienced, and that may be an additional thing. But typically, we feel it's partnering with the local community is very important.
And to do it over a period of time, year on year, do you think you need to repeat that enforcement?
See, it's sometimes they might change. It's important to get that refresher thing. So that is where it is important, and that also we have to see that yes, the intervention we have started, has it sustained? Has the participation from the community has increased?
Right.
That is where it's important for us to go back. That's what in a 4-year term we have seen the activities what we have done in the first year, either through an impact study or your own visits, has it sustained?
Right.
So that is where we said start it, then participation from the villages, and yes, wherever it is necessary, give some inputs to the community.
Right. So we need to reinforce that message every year, going to the same community, maybe with a little tweak in the message. Mr. Jitendra, but when it comes to gauging my impact, unfortunately, as far as social responsibility, still a lot of impact is gauged in terms of money spent. You know, that this much money spent on social responsibility means impact. That's not really impact. You need to do beyond that.
Right. Right. So, yes. So, when we are talking about corporate social responsibility, we are not looking at the money we have spent. Though the mandate is, the government is saying that 2% of your profit you will be spending for the CSR, but those who are doing strategic CSR, they are not looking at only 2% of the money they have to spend for the CSR. And the money what we are spending for the CSR, we are not looking at that this is what we have done and this is the amount we have spent for the CSR. We are looking at the SROI, the social return on investment. We are not looking at ROI,
Right.
what we have spent, what we are getting.
Right.
We are looking at SROI. So, how the money is actually benefiting the community, what
Right.
kind of impact we have created over a period of maybe, because if you look at the corporate social responsibility program, it is not like campaign, it is end-to-end project implementation. This is the program, these are the deliverables, end of the day this is what I am going to achieve over
Right.
a period of 2 years or 3 years.
Right.
If it is actually giving that taste that okay, first year I have achieved this, second year I have
That
achieved
social
this.
rate of
Absolutely.
return.
So then end of the day you will say okay, this is my successful program, and now the community can take the ownership to sustain that program. The
Right.
corporate may or may not be there for a longer period of time, but if you will be giving that responsibility to the community, then it will be sustained. So
Right.
the effort should be how the community will be a partner while you are designing the program, while you are implementing the program, while you are giving the you can say handing over the program or assets to the community, how they are maintaining it and sustaining it.
Right.
Yeah.
So there must be an immense amount of satisfaction, Mr. Anshuman, in seeing the kind of change you brought about in children. And when you go on the ground, you actually see the teams working so hard in collecting waste,
Right.
not only from their own house, they go to neighborhoods and collect it. But while you were planning Behtar India, the campaign, school and students were to be one community, there was another corporate side, which I'm very sure that Behtar India tried and reach out. How forthcoming has the corporate world been in supporting Behtar India?
I would say that I would call it institutional rather than corporate. So there were parts of the government that got associated with the program. To give you a very concrete example, we've been associated as a subset of the program with the Gurgaon municipality for the last 3 odd years. And the stuff that we did there was not necessarily related to contributing money, but they said that, you know, we want your expertise in terms of marketing and messaging to come and help design literature for us. And the municipal workers will carry this literature down to the masses and distribute it. And the Gurgaon CMO was sharing with us recently that they have seen the case of dengue actually coming down because of that. So that's one aspect of collaboration. The other aspect, as far as corporates are concerned, we had about 20 corporates getting associated with the program. It definitely makes a lot of difference because A, there are definitely resources which are there, so that's money on the table. Plus there is local expertise. As was shared by the panel, each company comes with a unique flavor in terms of what capabilities it has in terms of execution. So we had corporates like Hero Cycles, Motocorp, Dabur, Xiaomi, Philips, Stryker, GLL coming in and doing their bit in terms of what they could do at the ground. So you might have, let's say, a certain access or reach in a certain geographic area. You have expertise in logistics, you have expertise in social media, you have expertise by nature of your product being in that particular product category. So various places, and I think it's a good start and it will continue to grow.
Right. Mr. Sethi, if I was to talk about Hero Motocorp especially, and you're considered to be a very innovative CSR leader who has actually used technology to amplify the reach of campaigns, especially use of social media. If you were to collaborate with, let's say, a campaign like Behtar India and get your expertise of using technology, would you think that kind of synergy be successful? It could work?
I guess it will work. But why it hasn't worked, maybe my viewpoint is as follows. 2014, the CSR law came in place. 2014, most of the companies are trying to put in a policy, procedure, so they're trying to kind of wet their feet in the entire thing. 2015, 16, each of the organizations started doing some projects. They wanted to see the benefits of those projects. Now, CSR in all the organizations has kind of matured. So they have certain their governance structures, people, processes, everything is there. So now is the next natural step that they now collaborate with like-minded organizations, kind of build on strengths of each other.
Right.
The social media strength, for example, yes, I also happen to be the IT lead, and so that's why that comes naturally, the technology piece of it. But to my mind, if we really have to take that multiplier impact that I was talking earlier, now is the time when organizations have to talk to each other, collaborate, work on everybody's strengths, and then maybe really impact the society in a much bigger way than an individual corporate can do.
Right. Mr. Jitendra, you work in areas where you have projects and you try and you have quality drinking water providing projects.
Absolutely,
You lighting lives, giving renewable energy sources to people. If there was a corporate to come together, it would be of help to you reaching out to that sort of a backward community. But why has that model still not matured in India?
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Sethi has also mentioned that. I will just highlight a couple of points which is not being mentioned or maybe not highlighted so far. So when we are designing the program, we are going for need assessment of the community. What exactly is the requirement of the community? In the designing phase, we should involve the like-minded corporates to design the program, not middle of the program. Suppose right now, if you take the example of Jaisalmer, Rajasthan area where we are working on drinking water. So I would probably say that when there was water scarcity for over a period of 8 to 9 months, now we are making that area water positive. We are providing water to this community for, you may say, 11 months, 10 months now. Slowly we are making that area water positive. That is our consistent effort to make that area water positive. But when we are designing the program, we are not inviting the corporate, and there is no corporate involved in that way.
Right.
Middle of the program, if you invite the corporate may or may not join. So that's the challenge. So to invite corporates to
at
be
the
a partner
strategy
at
stage.
the strategy level, that this is what we are trying to do. This is your core competency. This is my core competency. Can we collaborate to do something for the community? So that should be the approach to look at it. It's not that this is my area, I am doing something, can you join hand and do something for whatever the money you have, you can spend for this community. That may or may not happen. But if you will be doing it from the beginning, then it will be successful and it may happen in a big way.
So, from the discussion, it seems that there is a will to do more.
Right.
It's just about making things fall in place. And how we can do that actually on the ground, we're going to discuss more on that. But after a short break, we'll return with the show. If you need other corporate support, you need to take their inputs. Would that change the way you're going to go about season 3 of the campaign?
The brand name is Behtar India. It is about making the country better.
Corporates are willing to collaborate.
We also need the government support.
If you have not spent the money, you need to explain as to what are the reasons why you couldn't spend the money.
You're watching this very special Behtar India show where we have the top CSR leaders of the country, and we are discussing that is collaborative the way forward to make a greater impact when it comes to social responsibility. Going back to Mr. Anshuman Verma of DHFL Pramerica, Mr. Anshuman, the discussion has thrown open a point that at the point of strategizing, you need to factor in if you need other corporate support, you need to take their inputs. Would that change the way you're going to go about season 3 of the campaign?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's a great point that's been made. And we also felt it during the execution of the campaign. We had, as I said, about 20 corporates associating with the program. And we've been continuously taking feedback. This year, the program was different from last year. And our intent is to run a multi-year campaign. So in a multi-year campaign, use the philosophy of Kaizen, which is to say that you will improve every year. And I think it's a fantastic suggestion, and I'm glad that was voiced, because we were feeling this, and we will definitely like to involve all the corporates at the drawing board stage so that we make this platform better.
Right.
If you look at the basic philosophy or brand name, the brand name is Behtar India. It is about making the country better. And there are infinite number of possibilities that can get associated under this campaign and make it very larger. It's not a property that we want to, exclusively own. We sincerely believe that we want to make a difference in the way our country grows and becomes better.
Right. Mr. Sethi, is the thought of having a flagship project by a corporate, does that come in the way of collaboration?
No, not really. Not really. I think it's the impact and how the entire thing would work, the entire governance mechanism. Once that's clear, I think that part, as I said earlier, that phase is over.
Okay.
So corporates are willing to collaborate, and if there's a flagship program, I guess a lot of companies can come forward. What has also happened over last 1 year, if you see, a lot of state governments especially have put up things like portals where all these projects are being put up.
Right.
A lot of compendiums are coming which again say that what are the projects being done by various organizations, and as you really read them, you can find a lot of like-minded organizations, and that's where collaboration will actually increase.
Right. So as far as the CSR spend in the country, it has been increasing every year.
Absolutely.
But there is still a good amount that is left unspent, which people roll over. Whiz putting it in campaigns which are credible, which have proved their worth. Some companies would still prefer to roll it over and still maybe look for a better option next year. How does one address that? How does one get the unspent money back into the social sector?
Typically, government doesn't allow rollover.
Right.
Rollover is not allowed.
Right.
There is no rollover. If you have not spent the money, you need to explain as to what are the reasons why you couldn't spend the money.
Right.
So, yes, as a responsible corporate citizen, they might spend that money next year, but they don't get credit for that money.
Right.
They won't reduce the next year's expense on account of the rollovers.
But a country which has so much to do, so much needs to be done
That's a lot
socially
today.
and economically.
Yeah, I know that's a lot today. Maybe tomorrow, if every one of us represent to the government might rethink about it. At least look here, if something has not been spent, allow us to spend next year, and then it can rollover possibilities are good, but government has to still consider this request.
Right. So many a times there are certain loopholes that we still talk about in the CSR landscape, sir. What are the gaps, do you think, that, because now we have an experience of 4 years in this practice, that we need to plug to make the system more efficient?
You see, because if you look at the CSR law, it is started in the year 2014. So we are almost, if you consider 1 decade is 1 generation in a way, then we are middle of the generation. We have to revisit what are the things is going well, what are the things is not going well. What are the areas we need to address? We also need the government support. For example, my colleague mentioned that there are some unspent money. Can we take this money to the next year? If I could not able to spend that money due to whatever reason, maybe the program we designed is not actually not taking the shape, or maybe initially we need some groundwork to design the program, that is why we could not able to spend the money. Can you take this money to the next year so that we can make a big program or impactful program?
Right.
So there are certain government policies we have to look at. This is one expectation probably from the corporate, that if government can allow us to spend that money in the next year, that could be one area to look at to make it more impactful. Second is that when we are looking at, let's say, implementing agencies, we are talking about civil society organizations, NGOs, CBOs and all that. Most of the corporates, I don't know the exact figure, but most of the corporates are working with civil society organizations to implement their program.
Right.
So it should not be like transactional model. It should be partnership model. What we are trying to do is let's do it together. It's not that I'm giving the money as a corporate, you implement the program and give the report to me. That model will not work, and that will not be impactful model.
Right.
So when you are taking somebody as a partner, so we have to ensure that they are our partner.
They have as much passion for the cause that you have.
Absolutely.
Right.
So
Right.
these are some points like government policy level, how government can help us to ensure that money can be spent.
Right.
So this is the way we can look at to make it more meaningful CSR programs going forward.
Okay. So going ahead, if I was to take a quick wrap-up comment on, if we were to make collaborative a real way forward for social responsibility in India, your one-line comment on how to do that.
I think the word is about collaboration now. It's whether it's competitors, whether it is like-minded organizations, all across the globe, people have prospered by collaboration. So even at CSR, if we really have to make that impact of CSR, we need to collaborate. There's no other option.
Right.
Now, basically, our experience of 4 years says collaborate with an effective NGO. The reason is today in the 4 years, as Mr. Sethi said, that CSR has developed very well, and now partners are also developing very well, and the skills which they bring to the table are very, very important for the corporates, and that is where the collaboration can be much more effective if we collaborate with effective NGOs.
Right. Sir, your
So I think, yes, of course, the collaboration, we can highlight the collaboration, but collaboration with whom? One is the civil society we are talking about, because primarily we are depending on the civil society to implement our programs. In the same time, collaboration with the government, with media, with other like-minded stakeholders. Unless we will not bring all these people together, so we cannot think about.
You have just pockets of impact.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You don't
absolutely.
have a spread out impact.
Agreed, yeah. So this is, we have to take the support of government. Government could be one of the potential collaborators. Similarly, civil society, similarly, community, similarly, stakeholders, shareholders.
So make it a mass movement.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
So that is what we set out to do, and Behtar India has achieved that to some degree. Mr. Anshuman, if you were to appeal to people who are watching you, belonging to civil society, belonging to corporates, to NGOs, to collaborate with this campaign, please go ahead.
I would just like to say that it's been a very satisfying and gratifying experience to be part of this program, and I would encourage all large corporates in the country to come and get associated with us, reach out to us. We would love to sit on the drawing table with a blank sheet of paper and try and meet your expectations and really grow this program, and we look forward to an even greater year 3.
All the best for year 3, and looking forward to the finale of year 2 before that. So while more and more corporates are taking social responsibility seriously, if we were to make a larger, deeper impact, the key is going to be collaboration, because individually we are just a drop, but together we are an ocean. So if we get together, if we collaborate, we can surely make a better India. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.